budget general fund cost, which is 13 million, and we get 1.5 or 1.2 back.
So we're getting about 11% revenue for every 100%.
Yes.
That doesn't sound very good.
No.
But it's different.
It's not a good business model. No.
They mandate.
Welcome to our world.
That's the whole issue, and that's what this whole presentation was supposed to illuminate.
John?
Dr. Robin, doing a very good job of keeping kids in district. It's a good thing. But as we keep these kids or bring them back, we are then putting into the district kids with needs.
Correct.
Okay, so I'm looking back at cutting 2 psychologists out in 2010, and then we could get away with that and still provide adequate blah, blah, blah. But at what point do we say, well, okay, maybe we need to add a psychologist back? For instance, the high school is down to half a psychologist,
A half a second.
and is that enough?
No.
And are we budgeting for more?
We did.
We did.
Asking for more, so we could achieve for next year a full-time psychologist at the high school if we do a good job of budgeting.
That would be very nice. I'd be very happy.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the issues right now is we are really bare bones of services, and bringing back students right now because of our staffing is difficult, because we don't have enough staff to deal with mental health issues that are coming up.
It becomes a security issue, too.
Well, it's a safety issue for the students, both for the students themselves and others in the buildings. So we're at a crossroads right now, to be very honest with you. We're looking at kids that we're having to outplace because we don't have enough support staff to help keep them here.
So we might actually save money by budgeting money for a psychologist.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, that's part of what you're seeing in this cost.
Right.
What saved us from our Board of Finance $733,000 cut is the fact that we brought $1.2 million worth of outplaced students back in and hired staff to teach them, which saved us, between $800,000 and $900,000, which covered our $733,000 shortfall and our overage in our substitute line item. That's part of what, there's objections to us growing, but if we don't grow, we're going to die.
And Beth has designed for your request a 3-year projection of what programs we could start in-house that would keep more students here, but there's a cost, cost of investment.
You have to spend money to make money.
Well, I wish, Mr. Chairman, at some point, if somebody from the administration could have us sit down with reporters who write about this stuff and explain that to them, that we, in many cases, we have to spend more money to save money because of the dynamic of this special education funding process, It's counterintuitive, but the people need to understand this,
I present that. When I tried to do that when I presented the budget this year, first demonstrating to the public a return on their investment.
Maybe it's a letter to the editor or something, so that people want, so they get this, that we're not just hiring people because we want to. It actually, as you said, we have to spend money to save even bigger costs embedded in this mandate business.
Mr. Rivera.
Two questions. The first is for Dr. Robin. I think the other one's for Danielle. I missed in the beginning, I heard you say that there's going to come a point where a single administrator will not be enough.
It's not, we are out of compliance.
Presently.
Presently, yes.
Without even looking at the new regs that are coming down.
And the detriment to that for us is, besides you being overworked.
The detriment is, that if we ever got audited for our supervision, which we could be, we would get slapped with sanctions from the state because we're not meeting the state regulations.
So we're not risking losing funds. Let's correct this in the future type.
Yeah, but it's like, please correct this yesterday.
I think Danielle, I need to, okay, we have one administrator and the administrator's salary is still in. On this sheet, there's 3 administrators and the salary is, the salary's much higher. So who are the administrators that are falling under this?
No, there's not 3 administrators. That's an error. It's, all it is, there's one administrator. Two teachers are being pulled into that.
Which line
And,
item amount, 5,110?
Yes.
Yes. That would be the in-district and out-district coordinator being pulled into that.
right, remember, because we talked, that's why we never transferred the money. When we approved the budget last year for the director of special programs, we couldn't eliminate the position. So the board said to administration, use that money how you see fit, which is how we got the high school principal, the grant coordinator. But we never, through budget committee, assistant principal, excuse me, through budget committee, we never transferred those funds. So it's just, the fund is lying in administrator, but at the bottom, it will net out. All it is a simple budget transfer that we could do at budget committee.
Sure, yeah, it inflates the
Right.
special education budget by $140,000.
I'm not making.
Right. And you have to remember that this is the first year that all these reports in detail are asked for, so it is and we switched to a new system, so we're muddling our way through.
No, they've been asked for it before. We just
They've
never
been asked
got it.
for it.
Thank you. We've asked for them many times.
Are you good, Chris?
Yeah, that's all I have.
That was my question.
I'm gonna hold off till next.
Okay.
Well, I have a piggyback question, because Chris answered a question that I didn't even know I had. Under section 51-1230, clerical, you have 2 people under student services for the general fund. Who are they? I thought they were the in-district, not a district coordinator.
Clerical is secretary.
Now, if you look on the staffing, there's 2 secretaries in the special ed department. Yep.
So the in-district and out-district coordinator are addition to the 2 secretaries.
Yeah,
No,
they're
Yeah.
not,
no, they're
Central.
not.
no, they're not clerical. They're a psychologist and a social worker. And
They're also
under
housed
the-
in schools, they're not housed in central office. In central office, in that end room, is Beth and 2 secretaries. The odd district is kept hidden where?
Well, there's a desk,
There's a-
but they
there's
don't, they're out.
There's a
in
file
the-
room and there's a desk for the out-of-district coordinator. The in-district coordinator primarily spends her time at the middle school and high school.
Chekhov wrote a play like that, didn't he? This invented character.
Ellen has a question. Oh,
Not really a question now. Back to the administrators, and it says that there's 3. Can you just give a breakdown of what that encompasses? I know it's not anyone that's there now. Is it someone that was there on 11/12?
No, yes, it was. It's Cheryl's old position.
So it's Cheryl's old position.
Yes,
Plus the
and
director of
Plus the
special
director.
ed.
plus
Right.
Beth,
And
and
what's the third
another
one?
position is being pulled in there because it's just an accounting for the code is incorrect.
So can we?
Yeah, I will
who
fix
is-
that.
Okay, all right.
It's
So
not, we have one special ed administrator, that is it.
Right.
120,000.
But for,
120.
Sorry.
I know you're
seven
going
hours.
to, I know you're gonna take it out because it
Yeah.
needs to be, I just wanna know,
We just
What
never
it
did the
was.
budget transfer. What it was Cheryl's salary,
plus a third one.
plus another, yeah, but it was never a 3rd one, it was just coded wrong, it should have been under teachers, not administrator, it's just
So
the
teacher
difference in
is
the
less.
code. Right,
Okay.
yes, add another 53,000, because that's what the person makes, to the teacher
Okay.
line item versus
Okay,
the administrator,
all right.
because I know who it is.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go back to that high school psychologist that we have a .5. If we were to go to a 1, let's just negotiate here. What can we, is there some money that you can put on the line that we're gonna save some money? And that's the game, it's.
Right now, you have one psychologist covering 188 students at the middle school and 171 at the high school. One psychologist is covering those two schools. So if we had a full-time psychologist at the high school, that person would be covering the 171, plus be able to do preventative and work for bullying, violence, and all of that. And the person who's splitting the two schools could then go to the middle school full-time and do the same thing. Do prevention, counseling, work on testing, work on response to intervention, and help us eliminate some of the behaviors we're dealing with right now.
And I would like to increase that, but this is a give and take process here, and you can't give us an extra $33,000, well, not an extra $60,000, $66,000 somewhere else.
I
I mean, there's
yeah.
nowhere we can get out of your budget $66,000 so that we can assure that we can get that extra psychologist.
I don't have any place to take it, that's the problem. And as I said,
That's gonna
this,
move into Paul's
Right.
comment as we go into the budget discussion. What we need to do, Andrew, to get what you're looking for, we hired 4 teachers, and we're able to bring 1.2 million in outplacements back.
Right.
If we can convince ourselves to hire some staff, we could bring back some outplacements, you'll have the money to
She's
fund
not
that.
telling, that's why I'm directly.
I know
asking.
she's not answering that,
She
that's why I'm
doesn't have-
answering it for you.
She doesn't have the money to create the program to bring kids back
Right,
either.
we as the board have to authorize the creation of that program so that the money comes back, and then that savings will help us fund the needs that we have in other areas, like psychologists.
But without doing a whole program, I do want the board to think in terms of adding back, spending some
Yeah.
more money on
No, I
this.
understand.
But I certainly would appreciate if you can think of some way to reduce your budget by that amount. I don't know where you would find, you're doing a
Yeah.
great job so far, so maybe you can figure out how you. You're doing a great job. I'm telling you, because that is important. I mean, it just makes a lot of sense that those 2 schools with the problems they have, they need some help.
Yep. Okay. All right. Let's move on to agenda item number 4, approval of the superintendent's 2013-14 proposed budget. We need a motion to accept the budget, we need a second, and then we can go into discussion. Daniel, Ellen. All right. I'm gonna be selfish. I'm gonna go first, instead of going last. The presentation we just got, I think, sums up the future of Torrington's education. Unfortunately, and there's been a lot of negative feedback, we've gotten a lot of negative emails that address no new positions, just maintain. If we don't grow, we're gonna die. I mean, the school district is gonna just die on the vine. The problem you have is school of choice is now a mandate. Any student in Torrington can decide they want to go somewhere else if we don't offer the program. Believe it or not, in this budget cycle, we looked at closing Torrington High School and outsourcing every single child to see what it would cost. It's going to cost us between $4,000 and $6,000 more per child to send them out. So if we do the math and we don't offer new programs to keep these kids here, more and more kids are going to leave. Now take 1,500 kids, that's $6,000. I mean, tens of millions of dollars are going to go on the taxpayers' back because the state's not going to pick it up. That's all going to be borne by the residents of Torrington. So when we look at this budget, we have to think, how can we expand Torrington's school system to keep these kids from leaving? because that's just a mathematical reality. If we do not entice these kids to stay, we go broke. I mean, if they go to Oliver Wilkett, if they go to Wamogo, if they go to Regional 7, if they go, doesn't matter what school they pick, costs us money. We lose money every child that leaves. So to say we're not going to, we talked about an options for Torrington High School. We want to revamp Torrington High School. Options is just a word, call it anything you want, but if we don't give the kids a choice or an option, they're gonna go. Whether it's nursing, whether it's mechanical engineering, whether it's foods, whether it's the arts, doesn't matter. If we don't give them the options, the Torrington school system cannot afford these kids to all bail out on us. We just don't have the money. So some programs, and it's been said by other board members, there are programs that are going to fall off the spectrum. They just are. They're not being attended, they're not being productive, and we need to get programs to keep the kids here that are costing us money going up, in special education, in regular education. So I just ask when you look at this and you talk about it and we debate it, that we keep in mind, we can't just put together a budget that just says, we'll turn the lights on July 1st. We just can't. Because by turning the lights on July 1st, next year we have crucified ourselves and dug a hole we're not going to get out of. We have to keep I would like to see us keep our enrichment end of things in our sports and our music. I would like to see us expand those, expand into the Warner Theater, the Nutmeg. No, the other one, I lost it. I had it. I rehearsed this all day and I forgot it anyway. But then go, what's that? Art, thank you. And at the same time, go into the technical end of it. We have a location at CJR that currently offers a discounted price for us to put kids into technology. But I think we have to look at fixing our technology wing. We have to spend some money there. Short-term fix would be CJR, we can control the cost. But long-term fixes, we have to invest in our asset. If we don't invest in our asset's gonna rot, rust, and we're gonna have to throw it away. So, my personal feeling as a board, I think we owe the city of Torrington that we make this the educational system it's supposed to be. I know people are calling for a zero. I get all the emails. I know they're calling for a reduction. It's just not a reality, because at 6,000 a student leaving, if we spend 1,000 a student to keep them, in the long run, that's why, I beg to get us to a 3-year sustainable budget, a 3-year strategic plan, and a 3-year special education plan. We have to we're so far behind the wave right now. We have to get ahead of the wave. If we don't get ahead of the wave, we're gonna wash out with the tsunami. We're gone. So that's my 2 cents getting this started. But I know we need to cut, and I know we want to talk about cutting. My personal opinion is I think we need to add. I think we need to look at that psychologist. I think we need to add the teachers to allow us to bring back some kids so we can lower tuition, which will balance the other additions that we need. But instead of just sitting around the table and throwing out, cut this, cut that, we need suggestions. We need positive. All right, what can we add that'll get us a savings? Instead of just looking at decimating it further, how can we fix this broken wheel? So, that's it. Who wants to go ahead? Discussion, line items, anything?
I just, to kind of go on your point, the most frustrating part, I think, is tonight we're getting all this information from the athletic director, a bunch of information from special ed. It's too late. So I would like to see us possibly like a month after this budget's done, start working on the next one. We're too late in the game. We're always behind the 8 ball. We don't have time to go out and vet these things, like looking at the special ed kids and bringing them back and what would the cost be. It's too late. So we're starting it too late. And I hope the board would support me in starting this process over the summer.
And see, take our board goals, which we should fix 3 areas that we want to focus on. And, you know, Andrew made a great point last time. Everybody comes out, everybody talks, everybody, you know, rallies support, and then everybody disappears for 11 months. And then everybody comes out and everybody, we really need to incorporate budget ideas into our goals instead of just saying, we'll do a fiscally responsible budget. We have to come up with, you know, this year we did the aligning of 6 through 12. Well, we have to do something in next year and say, oh, whatever, I'm gonna pick on you, Beth, because you're sitting here. And I'll go to Dave because he's looking over the ball show. But say we set up one goal to, you know, create a program for something to reduce out-of-district tuition for sped. And then we set up a facilities piece or, you know, real tangible hard goals. No, you make it. Well, you
Oh, which in terms of programs, well, Fiona's saying is absolutely correct. We can't, I'm not sure what you're asking for right now, but this is a follow-up from last week's conversation and has to do with offering, looking at where we cut this year. We can't fill it with those kind of programs that would be, what do we want? The word for it. That would be attractive to other students, but okay, through school improvement, there's 2 areas. There's an already existing PEC program. What is it called? It's a national PEC program that's out there.
Project Lead the Way.
Project Lead the Way. I mean, that's big funding, but that's one option. The other option is something I still keep coming back to. I keep coming back to it because, again, in my industry, I see it all the time. I see it monthly. It's called digital media, okay? Digital media is everything. It's everything on there. It's everything on your iPhones. All this stuff is digital media. We just can't find enough people, to the point where I told you this would happen. They are now making this a major. I believe UConn is creating a digital media major. Several community colleges are creating digital media departments because the jobs are there. Everything, every magazine you see, all that stuff, it's all going digital media. There's all kinds. Everything from the equivalent of what used to be a tool and die maker to a press operator to a draftsman to an engineer in the old mechanical world. Those kinds of stratified job offerings and complexities are going into making this stuff. Okay, we make stuff. It's called digital stuff. You know, and there's jobs out there. And so I would love to look at, and I think we really need to get our heads around, and tell you there may be people who may want to partner in this field, okay? And on a personal level, I'm having some conversations, and it's very, very, very early, but I know there's interest in this. I know there's an awareness that we simply don't have enough, quite literally, American-born students who are moving into this area, and they want to encourage that. So this is one area as well. We can't do it this budget season, but what we can look at is making where we do need to make cuts, if we do need to cut staff, looking at for better, you know, again, what I would just call vestigial programs that were in place for the last 40 or 50 years that simply don't pass muster anymore. And maybe those are, the next week or so, we're going to have to make some of those hard decisions and therefore create some space for us to put in a program over the course of the next year.
We did that for you.
Yeah, I know you requested it.
Okay, yeah, we've got it.
Okay.
And I do know.
We're not going to do that right now, but.
I do know that Torrington High School has a student going into digital media next year.
Well, but what I'm saying is there should be.
I might know it, but I do
Okay,
know, you have one that followed your advice.
Yeah, well, you can begin this stuff, and it appeals to kids. I mean, this is what kids live on, you know? And you start to get them with the idea in their head that they could actually make a living out of doing the stuff that they are now using and playing with. It's real. We just have to get our heads in focus. They just don't know where,
Right.
correct. And other districts, wealthier districts are doing it. They're getting out in front of us, you know? And we need to stop.
But we have to start getting ahead of this. We have to make Torrington High School a place that other districts, kids.
Well, and that's what I'm going for. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm talking about. So we can't do it for this cycle, but as soon as this cycle is over, we get what we can. But it could inform our decisions about cuts, which is where Fiona and you were saying.
Yeah.
What we can do this cycle is stop the backward slide.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Hold and build a little bit, and then take
Right.
a good look at it over the next year. be great to bring kids in, because the marginal cost of having an extra kid in the room is really low. Once you have the program, the marginal cost is next to nothing.
Andrew?
Okay, first cut that I would like to see looked at is the $300,000 implemented recommended safety measures, personnel and resources at all schools. That would be $300,000 that I would like to see eliminated, or some portion of that anyway. I'd like to see, what are we doing for capital improvement for 1.2 million?
Yes.
I'd like to see us look somewhere at taking $200,000 off of capital improvements.
How's 288,000?
How much?
How's 288,000?
And what would that do?
We would like to move that into this year's budget and reduce next year's capital.
Okay, so we're gonna look at 288 reduction from your number, from the capital improvement line item. Look, I sat through the whole process of the CNA program, and assistant superintendent did a lot of work, did great presentation. This year, don't see it flying. Public is somewhat outraged that we would be adding that program this year. So I'd like to see that $70,000 removed. I'd like to see the high school assistant one of the high school assistant principals eliminated. I know we added that position last year. I don't even want to say how you would quantify or qualify whether or not that includes the high school. So I'm not going to say it, but it was something that was added last year, hoping that we would have better economic times going forward. Economic times are, in this town, are regressing. We're not moving ahead with the general increase in the economy in the nation. Torrington has some real structural problems. So that's one position. I'd like to see the athletic department cut by $50,000. And I thought we were kind of in a positive direction with the mayor last week in getting back to us that maybe Midgeon Avenue was feasible to be done, to move it over to City Hall for next year.
He hasn't gotten back to us.
And we would like to see if the capital side of the move to City Hall would be borne by the money in which they, I assume they still have that surplus money when they did the renovation of City Hall.
I don't know, I have no idea.
No, that was out for bond, they had to give that back.
Oh, they gave the money back.
Yeah, they would, yeah, you have a very short period of time to close out your bond.
Oh.
So that project, whatever wasn't spent, it just wasn't borrowed.
Oh, I thought it was like they kept a certain amount in balance to make any type of improvements that didn't.
I'd have to check it out.
So then that would probably be a cost expenditure, which wouldn't net us out anything for this year. But still would be nice if he would come back and tell us that if he would pick it up, the capital part of it, and potentially reduce our operating expense. And I'd be pretty happy if we can get consensus on doing some of those eliminations. Because okay, those are my suggestions.
Daniel, do you have any suggestions?
At this point in time, going through reviewing the budget and knowing how much has been cut in previous years, how much was cut over the 10 years previous to that, how far we're sliding, and as much money as we seem to be spending, we're not gaining traction over the last couple of years. I'm still gonna go ahead with the superintendent's budget as it is recommended. just to see if maybe we can do a triage and stop the bleeding and the pain. Last year, we were almost $1 million in the hole. This year, without adding anything or trying to stop the bleeding going on within the district, we're $5.5 million in the hole. Next year, there's the possibility of the state cutting out transportation costs and reimbursement to that, which means we're already starting $1 million in the hole for next year. We need to do something. So at this point, I say we send this forward. We hope that the city's population goes to the Board of Finance, lets them know that they can't cut the budget for us. We have to have this going forward. At least try it for the year, see if we can stop it. Because we already know next year we're going to be in a negative position. We've spent 30 years with Torrington sliding. We've lost all of our major businesses. We've lost all of our major manufacturing. Your average wage in town has gone down. Your average household income is down below $30,000 for the average household in Torrington. We're losing. Let's just try to stop what we can now, while there's still a little bit left in the cookie jar.
I am really opposed to any cuts in the high school. High school is where we lose these kids we've been talking about, and the high school is where we need to make the kind of place that will bring kids back. I think that assistant principal has, and he's been on for only 6 months, so I don't know as how we can really judge if somebody is effective or ineffective. And I think we can see positive things they've done. I think it'd be really hard to say that it was a mistake after 6 months to have done a waste of money, mistake in that sense. This is a school that needs support if it's going to move ahead. And yet, this is a school that gets banged every year. Cut. We want to make curriculum changes, but there's no sum of money, for instance, for the curriculum. We have a budget scenario that shows us losing a dozen teachers from the high school. Is that the number that we're working on?
Secondary, John.
Second, okay,
6
so
to 12.
between the two schools,
Let's see.
those kids are gonna go someplace. You don't say, okay, we're gonna get rid of 9 of your teachers if it's the high, and okay, you wander the halls or give them an extra study hall or an extra 2 study halls every day. Secretaries, secretaries hold that school together in so many ways. You can't be understaffed in that office, or things don't happen the way they're supposed to. They just don't. We need literacy and numeracy coaching there, whatever you call RT or whatever, whatever the real acronym is. That's what we need. And I hate to think, and Mrs. Peterson said this, that's true. What's the ass going to think when they come back if they look at a school that's been just decimated by the cuts? We've just, ruined by the cuts that have been made. Yeah, the CNA program, goodbye. I think that might be something for next year, but I think it's about the only one of those things that I would agree with.
Carl? I somewhat philosophically disagree with you a little bit, John. When a lot of kids get to high school, they're already lost because we didn't catch them early. And I think some of the proposed additions, especially at the elementary level, are really where we need to focus on saving. Especially, I can't support any cuts at the elementary level. Kids need the media specialists in the library. They need the exposure to books. They need that type of thing, as well as staff cuts teacher-wise at the elementary school. But aside from that, I echo a lot of Dan's sentiments, and I said it last week at the budget meeting, that we have to move this district forward for the good of everybody, because as it goes forward, so goes the city, so goes the state, and it starts the trend. It's all a domino. So that's my thoughts.
I will echo again the safety measures. If we can save the losses at the bottom, the Torrington High School teachers, the athletics, if we can save those in place of the safety measures, I think that's money well spent. And I think you did a phenomenal job of starting this discussion. Seriously, that's right along the lines where I was gonna go. We've heard from the administration how schools are now, education is now a competitive market. So we need to market our school. And the money that we're gonna save from students not leaving is substantial, but also there's the potential of actually gaining money from students from other districts. So you gotta spend money to make money. I'm not suggesting you throw money at anything to fix the problem, but I think we've made so many cuts already as it is that to some extent, we're already at a bare bones, so it's my 2 cents on it.
Much like John, I don't want to see any losses at the high school. I think even in the superintendent's proposed budget, I'm against reducing a guidance counselor at the high school. I'm against reducing any more teachers at the high school. As far as safety is concerned, I think you hold out until the state mandates you to do it, quite frankly. I would eliminate the whole line item to do it. I don't think we're gonna be any more safer from a threat by spending that $300,000 than we would be without doing it. I don't wanna sound callous, but that's a lot of teachers, that's a new program. I do have a question, would the director of guidance hold a certificate that would allow us to be in compliance with DOT? Okay, so.
Yeah, it's a multifaceted position.
So to bring us in compliance with state law and regulations, that would be a good thing to do, right? And it goes well with our 6 through 12 vision of kind of creating that there. As far as the eliminations, any of them that are outlined in the 0, I'm not in favor of any of them, with probably the exception, I will agree, I like the CNA program, I like the idea of it. I think it might be a next year, something to look at next year. And again, you need secretaries in the office, you need librarians, media specialists in the library. Yeah, I think we need to expand the secretarial support. I want to highlight it. I mean, I'm going pretty much with what Cheryl you recommended, but people don't forget, we only have one secretary at the elementary. There's an elementary school with one secretary for a whole school. I mean, I don't know how that works. In fact, it doesn't work, and we need to fix that. I think, I agree with Andrew that athletics has basically come and said, take $50,000 from us and we can absorb it. Cut it. Cut it by $50,000. Find out if you need police. If you don't need police there, period, end of story, none at all. That's what I would say. You can call them the ambulance. The ambulance is parked at the top of the hill from 24th anyway. So I would cut athletics if they're willing to absorb that. And I do think the special education, but you saw the trend. When we cut from special ed, the cost to the district went up. When we started to add things back in, the cost has gone down. And that's the right direction. That's a positive direction to go. That's all I'm gonna say.
I too want to go with the superintendent's recommended budget with a lot of the things John, Vince, Chris, Daniel. I would like to see the resource officers, the safety measures cut, and with the added, the 288 coming off and going into this year, add those together, bring back what's at the bottom, plus secretarials, I'll echo what he said, and with athletics, bring more secretaries back again. But not eliminate anything, especially at the high school.
I'm also seriously worried about the high school, so I would not be in support of any cuts to the high school, but I don't feel in a position to even decide if we're going to approve, not approve this tonight.
No.
We've obtained so much information
Yeah.
since Monday that it's a lot to go through, and I'm not really comfortable with all this new information, making a decision on what we should be taking out, putting in, until we review all this new information.
Mr. Chairman, just kind of now that we've gone through the table, can
Except for
we?
me.
Okay, then if you want us, I just want to say,
Go ahead.
now that we've gone through the table and we kind of get a little consensus of where we all are on different items, maybe now would be a good time to see if we can straw poll or actually poll 3 or 4 items that I pulled together that seems to be consensus that we might have a majority of the board willing to cut. For example, I think it seems like most of us would have no problem reducing the capital improvements by $288,000.
Can I give you the rest of the list before you do your summary?
Okay, I just thought maybe to
See, well, no, that's why
okay.
I was gonna give you the list that we've come up with at this point
Of things.
of potential cuts, and
Okay.
then we'll go through that. What we've found so far, we talked to, the bus company, we met with them here last week. They want to go to propane buses. They want to extend their contract by 2 years, right, 2 years?
Yeah, 2 more years.
2 more years. And it's a savings of $256,000 a year. We have reached out to them to see if that could be a little more, but if we agree to, number one, reduce our carbon footprint, become the first district in the state to go to ecological busing, we'd be the first ones to have propane-fired clean energy buses. And if we agree to do that, we save $250,000 right off the bat. $256,000. So that's something for us to make a decision on in going into this budget. So we have that savings right in front of us without any cuts. We have
More than that, but 40,000 from sports.
We have the 50,000 from sports.
We can't add that twice.
What's that?
We've already cut sports out of the
Well, the
superintendent's
intention, yeah, the
budget.
intention of his coming up with those savings was trying to find a way to get JV and freshman sports back.
Right.
He's trying to self-fund them within his own budget, is what his presentation was for. We have the 288,000 in capital. We would also like to pull 160,000 in technology forward to this year. The 300,000 in safety that was discussed.
Was part of it.
When we met with the mayor,
And then we have 220,000.
we have approximately a $220,000 savings from early retirement, but that's if it comes through.
No, no.
Well, now that we're doing what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
have to wait now.
We have approximately a couple $100,000 in retirement savings. What the mayor asked of us when we met last Tuesday was to remove any inflation that we had in our budget. He does not want to see us raise our special ed tuition by any amount. Here's a handout, sure. It's $531,700. The problem is, in past history, and Paul, you lived through most of it, the board routinely had to go to the Board of Finance and ask for money at the end of the year. There is, for those of us sitting at this table, a state statute that says that any money that the Board of Education is short, the 10 members sitting at this table are financially responsible to pay. Just keep that in mind. Ryan would like us to take all of those projections out and risk it, with the understanding that the Board of Finance has never made the Board of Education pay it out of their pockets. No guarantee, just it's never happened in the past. What I asked Danielle to do at that point was to go through our items where she put what was categorized as overly conservative estimates by the mayor, and remove those overly conservative estimates. And it totaled $531,700. this board in the last 4 years has not had to go to city council in the spring with a $600,000 bill saying, oh my God, what are we gonna do? Through having put these estimates in there, we've either had a small surplus, or last year, because we had such a great winter, we had a rather large surplus of a few $100,000 that we were able to do things with. Now, it's our decision whether we protect ourselves and put these increases in there so that come next May, we're not sitting here saying, oh wow, I owe $400,000. Well, $40,000 apiece, it's not as bad as one. But, you know, that's a real decision we have to make. In the past, since Danielle has been here, she has always put these estimates in there. We have, that's one of the reasons why we did that, the budget book the way we did. You can see the transgression from year to year to year to year to see what the growth is. What we were asked from the mayor was to take a 5-year average, but you can't take a 5-year average when it goes up every year. You know, special education goes up every single year. You can't go back and take a 5-year average. It will not go down. It is gonna go up. So we did make this list. We have to go to the Board of Finance. I mean, the recommendation from the city is for us to remove these from the taxpayer's burden, and then if we get into trouble in the spring, we'll have to beg for it and see if they give it to us. So that, with that, and the list of savings that we just had, you didn't have that, right? Or you didn't have this one?
No, no.
It would, we could reduce the budget by $1.7 million. But that's taking a $500,000 risk on ourselves of taking out what is a prudent, if you just look at track records. You know, when something goes up 200, 400, 600, 800, you could almost guarantee it's gonna go up a million the next time. So that's the type of budgeting that's been done in the last 4 years that they end up doing. You know, and we've been asked by the city to not do that this year, to flat fund those items, basically.
Is the Board of Finance or the City Council who would hold us accountable for the overage?
It's actually the state of Connecticut. It's a state statute.
It's a state statute.
It's a state statute that says that the Board of Education, the members of the Board of Education are personally responsible for any shortfall in the budget.
Why don't we just ask the mayor to stipulate that if we do as he says, that the City Council will pay for any,
We asked that.
and he said no?
Said he couldn't speak for them.
Well, he doesn't need to, he
Well, he
needs to
can
just
ask
call a
for it.
special meeting. He needs to call a special meeting and have him stipulate.
I,
Stop playing games, just
Well,
ask him to.
one of the things that I was entertaining, and this is just for us to do, is to put our budget together with a column on the side
Yeah.
that shows these when we go to the Board of Finance. We have our total budget, and we'll show this $531,700, and if they say cut it, we can say fund it. You know, we'll cut it right there. We'll make the deal with you right here at the table, but you've got to tell me that if I come back in the spring, I'm guaranteed money. I mean, but I don't want to just knock them off, and you know, I think that that's kind of crazy for us to put ourselves in that position.
No, well, we should have, as 10 board members, we should have some guarantees that the city's gonna back us on this, you know? That they will put some skin on the table.
Yes.
I'm missing a couple of the points that you're talking about. One is the personal liability of the board members for the entire budget or just the special ed as part of
The entire budget.
So you're telling me that if the Board of Ed gives us 0 increase,
Board of Finance.
Board of Finance gives us 0 increase, that we would be responsible for the,
By state statute, yes.
Any overage.
no, I don't get that. We only got, we can't get any more money from them than what they're giving.
Then they say, run your district with what you have. That's the state statute is to prevent frivolous spending. It's to prevent a Board of Ed from going out and saying, we're gonna put up a new school. And just stick it to the taxpayer. So if the taxpayers set a budget for you, which is the Board of Finance,
Okay.
then
Then
that's it.
So what you're saying is, once the Board of Finance cuts the money, then it's on them.
No. When the Board of Finance gives you a pot of gold, That's all you have to spend. Anything you spend above that is your responsibility as a board.
Andrew,
And
we're
that's-
not getting
You don't
approval
meet
for these
contractual
line
obligations.
items.
That's,
Andrew, we don't get approval for
Okay.
line items. We get a dollar.
I didn't, I agree with you that the statute's insane, but it is a state statute.
Okay.
It's not the only one that's insane.
The second one that I want to be sure, because I'm not happy about the way I understood health insurance. Last year was $1.5 million saving. So when you say that we're going to have $256,000 in transportation cost savings, that is each year,
Yes.
first year, next year, we pay $256,000 more, so it's a zero. I want to know what the net is here now.
What it is a projection. Propane is a fraction, it's only $1.60 something a gallon in relationship to $4.25 a gallon for diesel. You get the same mileage out of the vehicle. So they're anticipating that savings. But we're gonna save money in energy. We're also eliminating one bus run, which is roughly $53,000.
Yep.
46.
When the bus company says, give us 2 more years,
Yes.
we'll go propane, and that will save you $256,000 each year.
Yes.
Correct.
Based on today's current cost of propane versus diesel fuel.
Correct.
Yes.
Because it's not, the
Okay.
savings is in fuel, the savings, that's what.
The bulk of the savings is in fuel.
So it's not great.
It's, propane is a byproduct of making gas. It's a waste product. So it doesn't have a huge market other than cooking food on the patio.
What is our contract with the bus company now? When's the expiration date?
2015.
So they want to go to 2007. I don't, yeah, I mean, this is another one that, when somebody says, I'm gonna save you $256,000 a year, I want it in a contract that says this is $256,000 that each year you'll save for the duration of the contract. I don't wanna hear we got $256,000 savings year 1, and then year 2, it's a $250,000 increase, and by the time year 5 comes, we're $1 million over.
No, this is strictly, all that the bus company's offering us is, we have a contract for X number of buses.
Right.
We currently have a few that are not used. They're willing to take one of those buses off the contract, which saves us $46,000.
Okay, that's.
They would like to extend the contract 2 years and switch to propane-fired, low emissions, state-of-the-art buses. And the reason that they also feel they can cut a bus is these are 77-passenger buses. They're bigger buses, they're made by Bluebird, they're a much nicer bus. But there is a real economy for us to project when you have a $3 savings per gallon in energy that you're using to power your buses.
Plus we get an incentive from the state.
That's factored in.
Have we asked them to make that 300,000, since we are the,
Actually, that's exactly what we asked them
yeah, what do they say? They won't make the deal for 3?
Because it's fuel, it's not them.
to do. We're asking him to, what we'd be asking him to do is take a $50,000 cut. Because right now, the only cut from them is.
That's not just profit, come on.
No, I'm saying, well, no, we buy the fuel.
No.
We purchase all the fuel. So the fuel, the 256,000 projected savings,
Yeah.
210,000 of it is a projected fuel savings, and that's strictly on us, because we buy the diesel.
I got it.
He's offering to cut his contract by one bus because we don't use it.
Possibly to the next year.
But it seems like we should, I mean, we're beta testing his new rollout, Look, these are all new buses, a whole new thing, are they gonna pay for it if we have, if they have problems with those buses and.
He's gonna keep the
Buses are well
diesel,
tested.
he's gonna keep the diesel buses to back them up.
Yeah. It seems like there's risk, it's a negotiation, there's risk on our side,
But we did reach out to him to see if we can come up with a further savings. But right now, that's the savings that we have on the table.
Well, eliminate the propane aspect, we still get to 46 by cutting the one?
Yes.
So that's 46 that we can.
But you have to extend his contract.
If they
No,
don't-
no, that's what I said. He'll do
You
the.
won't cut one if you don't go to propane.
Because it's a bigger bus, you can fit more kids in the
No,
bus.
no, we are cutting one bus.
Only if we.
Regardless?
No, well, that was the first proposal, but once they let us know that we can, we're doing it. I mean, you know what I mean? There's no way I'm gonna pay for something.
Do we have a $46,000 savings on one bus?
Yeah, so without going to the speculation of the 256, which is all that really is, you know, maybe it has a firm economic foundation. We got the 46, so why don't we just stay with what we really know, which is 46. I just don't wanna do the 256 based on future years and then run into the same thing.
We're only
we
talking
run
about
into-
next year, we're not talking, you know,
Yeah.
and looking at this. If we go to the propane,
We get 256.
you save,
Potentially.
you save fuel. You save 210,000 in fuel and 46,000 in a bus.
But we're gonna get the bus anyway, so it's 210 in fuel.
But we don't have to contractually, we have, we're on the hook for X number of buses, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
but
that's
they
a
got the
given.
deal for the one bus. So
You
we got
definitely have the one
46.
bus.
And
Yeah,
redesign
they,
our routes.
it's not a bus, it's a route. So they already told us we can do it without a bus, so they already let that out of the bag.
So 46 is a done deal. So all you're really looking, now you're looking at 210 projected savings, but then you gotta go 5 years with them, and another
2 years that we currently
Two
have,
plus
2
three,
years.
so, okay, so I say at this point of the budget process, why don't we just be more cautious and say 46 and give a little more thought and concern to
But if we can save
analyzing.
200,000 in fuel, we could save the staff members that you're looking to cut on the other line items. I mean, it's,
Yeah, but you told us this last year that we had $1.5 million savings on
And we did.
insurance.
and we did.
Yeah, except that you didn't tell us that.
Yeah, we did.
The next year
No,
was
yes,
gonna
we
be $1.5
did.
million increase.
Yes, we did.
You said that.
We said it was gonna go market rate from there on out. And market rate was a $1.8 million increase last year.
You
And
didn't-
we saved it.
You didn't say the second year was gonna be $1.8 million.
We said market rate.
What was the number?
There is no number. What was the market gonna go up, Andrew? Was the market gonna go up 2%, 5%,
Then why,
20%?
okay, I don't wanna argue
I mean,
about
I'm-
insurance, because we had enough arguments about insurance. I think that we should just be a little more cautious on this one. Vented as a board on the propane we cover.
Ken, is it not a savings regardless, because propane would have to go up $3 a gallon before we would even pay anything above what we're paying.
Yes.
Right.
So it's,
It would only
you
be.
can't project a savings, but it would be a savings so long as it doesn't go up $3 a gallon in a year. That's a pretty safe bet. I mean, those are teachers' jobs.
Yeah, but we're also giving them 2 years in which 2 extra years in which we won't have any negotiation.
Agree, but I don't think that diesel is going to come down. I don't.
That's hard to say. We're negotiating in the middle of their contract now. We
Right.
Yeah,
negotiated
that's
2 years
because
ago in the middle of their
that's
contract.
because they got this little thing they want us to be the
Negotiated
experiment.
every year.
What?
I think we've negotiated every year.
Just about it.
And every year we keep
We
extending
can
it.
get more out. I mean, they're eliminating a bus, but they don't need the bus because we're using their bigger, cooler buses.
I know, but the
Anyway.
thing is the relations,
what are they
they're
giving
willing
back
to
to you?
work with us, and we're working with them, and we're both benefiting.
Help for your
And your
community.
kids benefit from low emissions.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I just say, I think we're pushing a little harder. I think there's
Okay.
more, I think.
But anyway, those are savings
Large
that
school
we
district,
have.
a lot of hills, I mean, we make a real good sales marketing, you know, we bring them something. And I think they could give us a little more consideration.
And we're gonna talk to them about further help in that aspect. Okay, but those are what we have projected right now. I did hear from the TEA, and they said no to the concession. Yeah, you're the only one that didn't go with the
Okay,
concession.
one of those, items 1415, the superintendent's budget, the pre-K and pre-paras for pre-K. Everybody wants to pay for those? I mean, we read that this is, right?
Not unless we have.
No, I mean, can we cut those? I mean,
The problem is they're getting sent out to magnet schools. The parents get to pick a magnet school if we don't offer it, and then we pay whatever tuition that
that's tied to that.
the magnet school wants to charge. What was the bill this year? We had, do you remember what the bill was that they forgave?
For which one?
Preschool.
Yeah, 6,000.
6, so, and it's 42,000?
If we have to send a kid out, do we pay the per pupil cost of the target school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever
So
they
that's
bill.
We had six kids out of district this year, and it was $42,000.
They are bankrupt.
That's pretty
Yeah.
They are bankrupt.
But you know what's even more frustrating, Paul, is that we have preschool programs in town that we could pay $5,000 for kids to go to, and that would keep those businesses going. Our preschools are closing because parents can't afford it. And so, but if they go to a magnet school,
Yeah.
we have to pay it. Or we wouldn't pay, yeah, we lose our students and we,
Then we have to pay tuition on top of it.
yeah.
So we get double whammy.
You want pre-K and pre-K paras as a cut?
No, if this ultimately is gonna cost us, no. I mean, I understand that. Looking at the breakdown, the expense annual budget by account classification breakdown for 2013. Wait a minute, is this in your proposal? What am I looking at here? This. Oh, this is what we actually spent, that one here?
What page are you on?
I don't know, there's not. It's,
Oh, it's the-
expense annual budget by account classification report. This is what is in this year's budget?
This is this year's budget, and then the middle column is the proposed superintendent's
Oh, I see.
budget, and then the
That's-
change.
Okay. So instructional supervisors, we're going up, we're hiring more teachers.
Right.
Right. And are there teachers laid off as well?
Well, no, that's not,
No.
it's not hiring new teachers, no, we're not hiring new teachers. We're hiring 2 new teachers. That's the contractual increase for the teachers.
Got it. Okay. Salary benefits.
Yeah.
That's what, okay. Behaviors, we already discussed that. Okay, then we the paras. The balance in paras is what?
The balance of paras is the
Once again,
added
that's
paras.
contractual, that's just contractual.
It's contractual
All right,
and
so-
all of the added paras that we had to add this year.
Yeah,
Kids with needs.
we just increased that, okay. And finally, 5123, the subs, why are we up so much?
Because we're in the hole every year. You're the one that actually said to budget more a couple of meetings ago. That's the one with the maternity leave.
I said to be realistic, I didn't say to be. However, I'm in a different frame of mind right now. I'm in the mayor's frame of mind right now. Let's create a fantasy budget and fund that. So, in subs, we have more subs, totals, that's that, so 153,000. The security, we've already vetted that. Just, what are this, 560, what is that tuition line, tuition totals?
That's 2 of the items that are on the areas to cut per the mayor. I added those in because currently there's legislation that we will have to pay for tuition for pre-K and tuition for regular ed for any kid that wants to go.
Tuition for pre-K, tuition
To
for.
go to a magnet school, to go to
Mogo,
anything, it's all school choice. And we have no idea how many, so we just averaged 10 students for each.
But how many have we received so far? We just got.
That's already in. Yeah, that's already part of it. This is above and beyond with the new state
Well,
statute.
the general drift is, I think the general drift of what he's asking though is, be realistic to what we, I mean, so it's basically it's another mandate. essentially.
Yeah,
It's
it's-
anticipating a mandate.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
I agree with him, as long as we're not on the hook. You know, if he can, if he gets the Board of Education members on the hook, let's do it his way. And then he's doing what I think we're trying to do, which is highlight for the community.
The
you
cost
know,
of each
here's additional costs that we have no control over, that your state legislators, once again, are forcing us to pay, and it's absurd. And I think it does put that in relief, you know, things that are out of our control. And I think that may be beneficial, so I agree with this. So you're gonna have that conversation just as a block of cuts or reductions, okay. Then aside from that, no, I see nothing. I got nothing. Oh, and I would support the CNA, I'll keep that in there, and not just because you worked hard on it, but again, I think it goes toward the general discussions that we need to have some magnet programs, and this is one that was, I think, well thought out and extremely cost effective for what we'd actually pay for it, so I would keep that in. That's it.
I asked at the last meeting, the grant money that we didn't get 100% grant money on, how much of those programs, if we were to eliminate those programs that we are not fully funded by grant money, how much savings?
Danielle can address the money end of it, but when we write most grants, we look at what do we have in kind. That means space, electricity, secretarial support. You know, that's our donation.
I'm only concerned with the dollar amount.
It's 7,500.
So to do all of that grant money that we get, it only costs us $7,000 out of pocket.
Yep, then we only have one grant that we have to match, and that's the building bridges at Forbes. It's the only grant that we have to match. Every other grant, we don't pay. Yeah.
Okay, so you find other ways to say you're contributing to it, which is, again, space, electricity, you name it. Anything that we're just part of our operations.
So if we didn't have Title I money, we would cut positions. If you have the money, you can have the positions. You don't have the money, you have to cut the positions. That supplements, not supplants.
Okay. So no savings there. I'm done.
It was asked for, last week for the central office and district-wide. Do you still want that?
Yeah.
And then what I did, this is district-wide employees and Midget Avenue. This one is just Midget Avenue. Because the way you had asked for any position that wasn't accounted for in the schools, but because I did the budget differently, now everything's accounted for except for Midget Ave. So that's why I did 2 reports for you.
I know we're trying to conserve paper, but some of us are getting old.
Yes.
Sorry,
That's like, that's all. I'm sorry?
There isn't anything because it's not a salary.
No, IT falls, no, because they're not at central office. They're embedded in the schools.
But on your budget, it's separate.
Right, but you just asked for Midget
Anything that's
Ave.
not embedded in the
Well,
school.
you had Midget Ave is this one, and this one was Midget Ave and district-wide.
Right, so isn't district-wide include IT or no?
People that aren't included in the site budgets, you asked for this. So they're included in the site budget.
IT is included in the site budget.
Right.
Even though you have a separate page at the end for IT.
Right, because I'm doing the budget differently now, that you had asked for the new budget book.
The 2 positions we share with the city are recorded, right?
In our text. If you go to,
That's what I'm getting
Yeah, see, hang on,
But it's a
let me get the
separate,
page.
it's not,
Yeah,
it's
because
not part of the site.
it's its own site, it's its own site.
It's its own site.
Yeah, sorry, Ellen,
So
that's,
the
that's,
schools are a
yeah.
site,
A school's a site, student services is a site, maintenance is a site, technology is a site, nonprofit's a site, and district-wide is a site.
Technologies department.
Yeah, that's why,
technology is a site.
is its own entity.
Gotcha.